Hello. Today I am going to show you my newest acquisition. I'm also filming myself, which is extremely awkward. But this is apparently how you're supposed to do it. We're at the back of the property at the moment, where I'm hiding my fourth Lupo. And I say hiding because I think it's starting to get embarrassing now. Anyway, this is it. Number 4. The window decorations there are courtesy of my daughter. And this is apparent. Yeah, this must have been a week ago, so they're looking a bit dead. Such is life. So enough of me. Let's turn this around. Couldn't actually work out how to do that when I'm in pro video mode, which may indicate I shouldn't be in pro video mode because I'm not a pro. This is Lulu, Lupo number 4, and we're going to go through her. Picked her up at the beginning of my summer holidays. That would have been 2 weeks ago. Drove down to Lulu, which is an hour and a half, 2 hours drive from here, probably 150 kilometers. She's passed her latest MOT, and the previous owner has removed the plates, which is what you have to do in Denmark if you want to avoid paying road tax and insurance. So they took the plates off, and if you don't MOT it in time, then you have to return the plates. So cars in Denmark will change plates quite often. So they don't necessarily have the same plate on their entire life like they do in, for example, the UK. So, and that is why we have this sticker on here as a temporary number plate. So I paid 100 Danish crowns, and then I could drive her on the roads for 1 day, even though she hasn't passed an MOT, and the MOT is actually expired. So I went down there and picked it up. The idea with this one is that it's a challenge to myself, and what the challenges will become apparent quite shortly. This is number 4, so I have the 3 others, which you'll be able to hear about if you look at the other video that I currently have on YouTube. Maybe I will put a box somewhere or do something YouTube-ish, so you can just go straight to it. Otherwise, you can just go into the channel and look. There's only one other video. So this is it. It's a 2005, I think, model, which was when they actually stopped producing these. The production run ended in 2005. And it's a Belgium model as well. It's not one of the Wolfsburg ones. So now I have two Belgians and 2 Germans. And there are some people who say that the Wolfsburg models are better than the Belgians for whatever reason. But I am starting to find that there is one particular common characteristic between the Belgians, or shared amongst the Belgians. And let's just get straight to it. It is the rust. It is pretty crusty. Now this is particularly interesting because the guy I bought it from said that he actually replaced these panels in preparation for the previous MOT, so that would have been 4 years ago. That is very rapid deterioration, so I don't know what happened there. But as you can see, they're pretty crusty. Ooh, look at that. Yuck. Obviously also filled with gunk, part of which is rust, part is road crap. Yeah, so that's not too good. I waited to poke holes in this until I was filming for you. This one is looking slightly better, but not good. Let's go to the other side, and we shall see that I can use some of this grass. Got a similar situation here as well. Not quite as bad actually over here. that might not require a complete new panel, I don't know. And then over here as well. Oh, not too bad again. So the big problem really, there are other little areas as well, like that. That's not too bad. The worst part about it is that it's going to require some kind of paint job. I don't think that's a big problem. But this one over here certainly is a rather large problem. So, oof, look at that. Oh, grief. It's just falling apart. That's not normal. So all of that is going to need to be replaced. So the challenge to me is working with rust, cutting out rusty metal and welding in new, and I have zero welding experience. I don't have a place to put the car inside either. We're at the back of the property. All of this is part of the property. There is actually an old workshop here, but I converted it into a photo studio, I don't know, 15 years ago. So there would have been a room in there where you could just drive in the car and start working on it, but unfortunately I closed off the entrance, which is on the other side of the building, and also put in the floor. So I have to consider what to do. This end of the building is, you can see the chimney here, used to be the bane of my life, which is to say that there is a fire in there, a furnace that used to run off. They used to feed it on chipboard, crushed up chipboard, and it would go out in the middle of the night, and I never had a warm shower in the mornings. So then we converted to oil, and now we're running off a heat pump. Anyway, I digress. But that room there where the fire is, there is the potential to make a kind of temporary workshop. Let's angle this again a little bit. So what I'm thinking is that I can basically convert that wall there into a door, and then have the ability to drive cars in. It's a bit tight, it's not very easy. It's better than nothing. That other part, the rest of the building there, is where the studio is. So convert that perhaps into a garage, put a lift in it. I'm told you can't weld outside, so something's going to have to happen. And that room there is just chock-a-block with crap, so something has to happen. But anyway, that's not the main focus of this video. The main focus of this video is the car itself. I drove this car all the way home, hour and a half drive, like I say. It drove okay. It was like driving 1950s Cadillac. I think the shocks are gone on it. It felt like the shocks on the back, but I'm in absolutely no position to comment on that because I don't know what I'm talking about. But it did feel very bouncy, so I think the shocks on the back need doing. But we will see. But that's the least of its problems, because if the rust isn't done, then this is going nowhere. So it's a nice car otherwise, I think. It was been in, I think, in its latest family since 2014. Guy gave it to his daughter, and she was zipping around in it. So it's been in one place for quite a long time, which is normally a good thing. They have hacked it quite a bit, unfortunately. Let's take a look. And we have to kind of ignore the big gaping hole in the console here. That was me, and that is because they had. This is the console here, or the vents in the console. So this goes in here. I took that out, and the reason why I took it out is because they had attached a cup holder, which is here somewhere. This cup holder, and unfortunately they bolted it through here. So you've got two annoying holes, which is annoying, but probably the worst bit about it is the clips up here are broken off. You can see there's two clips here. Supposed to be two more there, and then what happens is when you attach this into the dashboard, they go in under there, and there's three screws down here, one there, one on the opposite side, and one down here. You probably can't see it down there. There's a little hole which you can see now. It's usually screwed in there, but the clips at the front here slide under and hold it in place, and that means that now that this is gone and the piece of aluminium that they had underneath it to support it gone, and it flaps about. So I don't think I could live with those holes anyway. I find that very annoying. So, but thankfully I went to the local breakers yard the other day, and they managed to find a Lupo College, not a 3L. This is a 3L like the other three. A Lupo College, it's probably 1.0 or something like that. And that's obviously exactly the same piece of plastic. So I managed to get a piece of plastic out of that, which is very good. Probably should also have taken, I didn't take this with me actually, the hazard switch. I could have gotten that included in the price, I think, but I did not. So yeah, so that's the first thing. I've got a new one of those. That's not the biggest problem. Another thing is that they put these ugly speaker grills on. I think they're ugly, and I would like to go back to original spec on those. But I also managed to get door cards in the same colour as well from the breaker shard. So those problems are solved. They must have run into problems with the fasteners on here and decided to rivet it in, which looks absolutely hideous. So I do have another door card. I happen to have one lying around, so I'll put that in. I'll have to put in a hole for the electric windows. So this is a luxury car compared to the other ones. There's electric windows. Fantastic. So obviously I'm going to need to cut a hole to put my other door card on, because that's from a car with manual windows. But I don't imagine that will be a huge problem. Other glaring issue is this. I think you probably could, if you were so inclined, sew that back together. I am not that way inclined. I'm willing to give it a go, I suppose. But I will try and find another seat. The donor car that I found at the breaker's yard the other day had a seat in it, but it was worn on the side over here, where they typically are worn. It feels weird. There's a there's a piece of something there as well. Something hard there. So I couldn't use that one, but I'm sure I'll be able to find a seat somewhere. Maybe someone will have one on Facebook. Otherwise, it has done, you might be able to see 412,000 kilometers, which is nothing for these things. Like I said, it ran okay. One of the things I did notice is that it has an EGR fix of a sort. Oh, yes, and the cup holders were broken. So they were both stuck out. I just told they're stuck out, and that's the way it always is. So, but I did manage to get them to work. I've soaked them in soapy water for a while to get rid of all of the 20 years of spilt coffee and Coke and all that kind of stuff, and managed to get them to loosen up a little bit. There was a bit of plastic in here. One of the plastic guides had popped out, so I just needed to go in again And this one over here was missing this flap here, which hugs your cup when you put it in there. I managed to find one. And the dampeners, the things that make them go out nice and slow. Dampeners were missing as well, but I had a couple lying around, so I replaced those. So this is probably the best part of the car at the moment. The cup holders function perfectly well. So we're 99% of the way. Yeah, and once the console is inside and the door card is changed and the seat is done, I think we'll have a nice looking car, but that doesn't change the fact that it's rusty as fuck. So that's going to need to be dealt with. There are other things, like I said, the EGR. Let's take a look at the engine. Can I reach that from here? I could. This is the remains of my daughter's decoration. It did look a little bit better when they were a bit more green, but such is life. So here we go, the inside. It's interesting, isn't it? These engine covers come in two versions. I don't know why. Maybe because they made one engine cover for the 1.4. I don't know, because the 1.4 is very similar to this one. But a lot of these earlier ones have 1.2 TDI on here. So you will see that's the EGR valve. It's not connected to anything, and that is because they have done an EGR fix. See that? It's a stud or something, bolt around it. I don't disagree to turning off the EGR on these things. As I will report on later, Lucy, my revival project, which is a black Belgian Lupo from 2024, went through her MOT and passed her emissions testing with a non-functional EGR valve. So these cars can pass emissions without the EGR. So and the EGR just fills up your engine with oily gases and makes it clog up in the end. So I think especially when they get to be this old, it's a really good idea to turn it off. There are more elegant ways of doing it than this. You can turn it off in software as well. What they did here, I find it quite intriguing because this has the same ECU, which is hiding behind here somewhere. But I've been in and downloaded the flash and the EEPROM from it. It has the same, I think it's BC is the appendix for the model number. It has the same ECU as Lucy does. And on Lucy, I was getting constant EGR and MIL malfunction indicator lamp. I was getting engine light on all the time because the diaphragm inside of my EGR valve on that one was broken. And that's an MOT failure, having an engine light, even though the emissions passes. And I was a bit curious about how they'd managed to remove it from here, because I drove all the way home and there's no check engine light on this. But I went in and had a look at the ECU in VCDS, and I can see they put in an adaptation. There's a famous way of doing this where you can turn up the sort of like EGR, or turn it down, tolerance, give it a high value, and then basically the engine never activates the EGR. And when it never activates the EGR, it never gets an unexpected amount of oxygen up here, and then you never get the engine light. That is one way of fixing it. What I've found out on Lucy is a better way of fixing it is actually just blocking this off, because then the engine gets more oxygen than it's expecting. It runs a bit faster. The ECU compensates for too much oxygen by pumping some more diesel in, and you get more responsive engine. Whereas if you turn the EGR off, then the engine will run kind of the way it's supposed to from the factory, which is a bit more dull. But it does tend to run quite well in that way, with an EGR blocked off. But you can't really just block off the EGR on these ones, on these BC ones, because the ECU, or that version of the software on the ECU, checks for whether or not the EGR is working and you get an engine light. So what I did on Lucy was I actually downgraded the software. So I took software that I had from one of the, I think it's AE appendix ECUs that I have on the other cars, and put that on there instead. And that doesn't care about EGR, so you don't get a check engine light. There's no readiness functionality for EGR on that version. And seeing as this version, the BC version and the AE version, are both covered by the same tubergodkendelse, as they call it in Denmark, same sort of like general certification, then that's good enough for me. So that works quite well on Lucy, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'll downgrade the ECU, and then I'll plug this off in a bit more elegant way. I'll put a pop rivet in here, and then the pipe can come back on. And Bob's your uncle. It'll look a lot better. And we'll have the benefits of getting a bit more oxygen into the engine. At least that's how I understand it works. Otherwise, I have not yet discovered anything else horrible. But otherwise, it looks okay. The firewall insulation is intact, which is not the case on all the other cars. These bumper things are in there. They tend to disappear. The plastics up here are not cracked, but they probably will be after I've got the ECU out, because I tend to crack them when I do that. It looks alright, actually. Not too bad. The hydraulics seem to work okay. It can do 4 shifts, I think, before it needs to pump itself up again, which is okay. It's not as good as they're brand new, but it is okay. It's a bit grotty down here, so I don't know if we have a hydraulic leak. But I don't think so, because it seems to run okay. There's a window here where you can see the level of the hydraulic fluid, but you can never see it, in my opinion, at least. I never checked, didn't think to check in here yet. This was black on the Lupo number B. It's a bit dark, but it's not bad. Not that bad. I got a little bundle of spare parts with it, and there were aluminium drums, but there are already aluminium drums on here. I don't know if you can see that. You can just see them there. Aluminium drums, the original drums that the 3Ls were sold with. Original wheels. There's at least 4mm of tread on the tyres all the way around. Summer tyres. So that's pretty good. And it's a nice colour, I think, as well. So I think it's a nice car, and I think if I can repair the rest on it, then we'll be in good shape. But whether or not I actually can do that, it remains to be proven. But I'm ready to give it a go. The car's too good to be scrapped, in my opinion, but the rust is quite significant, so I'm glad they decided to sell it rather than anything else. It popped up very suddenly. I saw it on Facebook Marketplace a while ago for £8,000, and then he reduced the price to 5, and then that was just too cheap to ignore. And I made a deal with him, like a cover pitch it. So I just had to get those temporary number plates, and then drove all the way down there with the entire family, and then my daughter and I drove home in this. So, and there were no issues at all on the drive home. So it's pretty good, I think. I'm quite happy. I may have taken off more than I can chew, bitten off more than I can chew. But time will tell. Worst case, I will give it to my neighbour Søren up the road there. He is an expert at welding up crappy old cars. But I really do want to do it myself because I want to be able to do everything myself on these things. So, but yeah, so I'll be asking for his advice. Obviously, I need to find somewhere to do the job. But that is the plan. Weld her up and then sell her. I have too many cars now. I have four of these Lupos. I need to get rid of 2 of them. Lupo B Rusty, who has a lot of, superficial rust, but quite ugly rust. Has her MOT in October, so I need to get that out of the way first. I think she needs brakes, and I want to do the rest as well. But that's just superficial rust. And then I can move on to this. Hopefully by that time, I will have found a solution for where to park her up, so that I can work on her and maybe get hold of a lift as well. Just a little one, maybe a baby lift. But that's it. So here she is, Lupo D, otherwise known as Lulu, by agreement with my daughter. And that is my latest acquisition, and hopefully I will not be buying any more of these until I start getting some of them sold. So that's it. Let me know what you think of her, and whether or not you think that it's mission impossible for an amateur no welding experience to fix this terrible job. Let me know. Let me just turn this around to wrap it up. Yes, so yeah, let me know if you think that I'm trying to do something that's impossible. I'm not sure. I don't disagree with you if you're of that opinion. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.